We have a situation where Harry has announced that he's going to come over with his children. They're going to accept a royal house and all the security that comes with it. And then we learn, oh no, he hasn't actually accepted it at all. And he's now saying, well, actually, if I don't have security, I can't bring the children. Look, the circus has been built. The tent has been built. The plot of land is there. Are we going to get our performers coming over? Is anyone going to pay to see them?
Well, this row is not logistical. That's certainly how the Sussexes are painting it, and their relentless, ruthless public relations machine, that this is logistics, it's about safety. It isn't. It's political, and it's family politics. And what Harry and Meghan, I think, have identified is an historic opportunity to get that 24/7 armed security whenever they're in the UK, and potentially with that precedent set when they're overseas. So they've got King Charles over a barrel because we know that he wants to see his grandchildren. And the wider aspect of this is that you cannot do business with the Sussexes, because if you try to have an arrangement where you're generous, you say this trip is going to happen with our blessing, that's the palace. We will even provide royal accommodation, and it's most likely Charles will meet his grandchildren. There will be photographs and all the rest of it. Even having rolled out that red carpet, you've got trouble, and that is classic Sussex.
Classic Sussex. Classic. There's a great line. It is classic Sussex. It feels like classic Sussex. It feels like Meg's it all over again with all this toing and froing. Brontë, on Friday night, do you remember, we were given an op note?
Exactly.
This is what's going to happen. They're going to come over. We're guaranteed that the children are coming over. Meghan's coming over. This is where we're going. But they also said in that op note, oh, by the way, we don't actually have security yet. And then, within 24 hours or 48 hours, they suddenly changed their mind and said, oh, now it's all up in the air because, as we knew yesterday, we don't have security. Do you think they have ever had any intention to come along with the children, any intention to see this op note out, or is it just classic Sussex games?
Well, here's the thing. You used the word circus before, and I think that is the perfect word for it. I was staggered by the turn of events that happened over the weekend. It is staggering to me that when there has clearly been this reputational rehab push in Britain, and everything was laid out a couple of weeks ago, and the plans were in place for them to come over here, and there was going to be all this big promotional blitz for the Invictus Games, and of course the reconciliation, which was obviously going to happen between the children and Charles. For this to then come apart so quickly and in such a catastrophic way, no matter what happens now, and I do believe that they're still coming over, the information we have is that they are still coming.
So the current situation, just to be clear, I mean, I'll have to check my phone in a minute, it might change in 5 minutes,
Exactly.
But they're still sticking by that op note on Friday night that it's all going to go ahead with the children, but yeah, sorry.
Yes, it is confirmed until it's not.
Yeah.
But with that said, it is already a disaster now. This is now the story.
Right.
No matter what happens, we're days away from their planned arrival, and it is now a disaster. And the thing is, Harry has played, this is the part that staggers me, he has played so clearly into the hands of his biggest critics, because all that they are ever accused of by people that they're detractors is this is emotional blackmail, there's a circus around you, everything has to be very dramatic, it's a soap opera. Whether you believe that or not, the optics are, well, what is this? This is exactly what it looks like. I don't think he's emotionally blackmailing his father, if I can be, to be frank. I think he's being emotional. I think he's reacting to information he got at the end of last week. But it doesn't matter whether he's doing that or not. It's exactly what it looks like.
Well, the critics do say it is emotional blackmail, and so some people argue, you know, does he actually ever intend to genuinely bring the children over, or is this, as Mark pointed out, you know, a political game with the family?
Well, from what I've heard from people close to them is that, because the question is, why were these plans confirmed then if we didn't have that security package already in place?
But the security package,
And it was-
they said
tell
it
you
wasn't.
for why.
They said it wasn't when they confirmed the plans, and then they said, actually.
But apparently,
I think I can answer that.
Okay, go on.
Right, and I don't want to hear the rest of your thought, but I just to answer that question about why would they say they're coming and then potentially not, that's a bear trap. And again, we're back to classic Sussex. It's what they do, because you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. We saw that with the late Queen, who rolled out the red carpet for Meghan, broke convention to make her comfortable. What happens? Throws it back in her face. You cannot give these people enough. And you're so right that what they've done with regard to this, it was a good news story, wasn't it? We're going to come back, the King was going to meet grandkids, potential rehabilitation, who knows, maybe even a handshake between William and Harry behind the scenes. That's certainly... No, that's
You've gone too far this time, Mark.
We've all had a drink. That, by the way, I will, on the record, that is the wish of Theo Rycroft, who is Charles's fixer, who wants that to happen. But as you say, go whistle. But the bottom line is it's gone from a good news story. And what Harry and Meghan have done, they're very self-destructive. They have snatched defeat from the jaws of victory here.
It's actually unbelievable what I've been hearing from that side, because again, to that question, why were plans so advanced to the point of being confirmed with an ops note if this wasn't all in place and if this was still the sticking point? And what I'm hearing is he was led to believe, because this review had been announced at the end of last year, that Harry had reason to believe, and I don't know the specifics of it at all, but he had reason to believe that he would be getting the protection that he wanted. Now, obviously, he's gotten this news on Friday, around about the same time as the operational note went out. And he's gotten really emotional about it. And to the original point I was making, even if you're going to be objective about it, I don't know his motivations, but even if you're going to say, you know, maybe this really is just him being very afraid for his family and the threats that he feels that they have here, it doesn't matter, because now the war's been lost anyway. This is
Was
the
he
story.
worried about Meghan when she went to Paris on her own for Paris Fashion Week, or their trips on holiday to South America, or the fact that they live in America, the United States, a great country where you have a legal right to own a handgun?
How is it not secure to take your children to Buckingham Palace, where there are literally soldiers out there that have fought in wars, and also police officers with machine guns? Have your children there to meet the King? How is that not safe? How on earth how can you reach that conclusion? I've got a rhetorical question for you both. When was the last time that, you might have to answer this, don't worry, I'll answer it, but when is the last time that we heard that William had taken George, Charlotte and Louis round to see their grandfather? You don't, because it isn't a song and dance about it.
We know nothing about those kids, and one of them is going to be king. It's amazing how little we know about them, which demonstrates that it is possible for the royal family to have a private existence. William is proving it.
You don't have to announce it.
Correct.
I do not understand, Brontë, why he has to announce that he's bringing the children over and tag it in with a bunch of engagements. He can just... We wouldn't care. We wouldn't notice if he flew in on a commercial jet or a private jet with his kids, went to Highgrove one weekend, see his dad and go off and go back to the US. No one would have noticed, no one would care. You've made it a big song and dance, and I just do not get what they're getting at.
Well, I think it was probably a little bit, and this is pure speculation, but a temperature check. You know, it's a big story that they were all going to come over, and
So
obviously
they wanted the attention.
Well, yeah, they're so divided. Well, Meghan and especially, but Harry and Meghan have been very divisive here in Britain, and I think that possibly having the story out, you know, was giving people a little bit of time to get used to it. And again, this is pure speculation on why.
That's releasing bad news early.
I don't know. It's like politicians releasing things on a Friday night.
I think what they wanted to do is just say, this is exactly what we're doing to avoid the situation where people are debating it right up to the day, but that's backfired because then it fell apart. The children obviously would love Charles to see his two grandchildren.
Sure.
They probably don't have much memories of Charles because they were very young. It was Queen's Platinum Jubilee about 4 years ago, so they need new memories to meet. So we understand why the children would want to come over. We understand why Harry would want to bring them over. What's in it for Meghan?
I think her brand, because she's in trouble professionally. She's less and less popular in the United States. Her personality, her personal ratings are dropping. And the problem is that the US is her home territory. It's really her main customer base, whether it's for her broadcast products or indeed the As Ever brand and the jam and the flower sprinkles and all the rest of it. So I think that Harry wants to come back to the UK because he misses his family, he misses his royal activities, and he misses England. You know, he misses the UK. And he wants his grandkids to spend time with their grandfather. And for Meghan, it's business. I believe that Meghan is pathologically transactional. And so I think this trip is strategic for her, and I think it's emotional and nostalgic for Harry, which I think is, by the way, a big tension within the marriage. I think that the two people want very different things in terms of the UK. I think Meghan sees a return to the UK as well as a chance to recalibrate those royal credentials, to go back to the royal well so she can be Duchess again, because that's fading in the US. And
with the invitations to stay in the palace, which we still don't know whether that's been accepted. There's been a lot of confusion around this. But of course, having the optics of them, being driven in or driving out of the palace, that's back in the royal fold, very literally.
It's the biggest coup.
Yes, exactly. So no matter what her motivations, you cannot deny that is going to be a huge boost for them after all these years, those optics.
If you remember, after Harry lost the High Court trial, just over a year ago now, we thought this whole security row was over. It's not. He said that it would be impossible to bring his wife and children without the security that he demands. If he was to fly out regardless, without any change in the security, is he therefore a hypocrite?
I think that Harry simply needs to get out of his own way when it comes to the security. I will say this, we won't, as you know, you well know, it's been years and years of this security battle and it's getting into the weeds in it. There's so many details. I do understand fundamentally his point. I think his motivation is a genuine fear for his family. But with that said, he just has to accept, as you said, it has been a year since he lost in the Court of Appeal. He must now pivot. He must now make different plans and get out of this. It feels like he's very, very stuck in this. It has to be the police protection or nothing at all.
But why does he need armed police in the UK, like you say, but nowhere else, including Ukraine, which is, last time I checked, at war, and he's there every 10 minutes. And we know that the couple travel the world, without armed bodyguards.
I think this has been a confusing point for everyone, myself included. I think what we're told is that for whatever information he's been given, he seems to think that Britain holds the greatest threat to his family. And I don't know where that information comes from.
It's absolute nonsense. I mean, I can offer you some input. So I bumped into Ken Worf 2 days ago.
Oh, lovely Ken, yeah.
And he was
Friend of the show,
responsible. He's a great guy and, of course, was responsible for Diana's security for many years, her chief bodyguard. And he said that this is all nonsense. It's a lot of fuss and nonsense about nothing. He said that, first of all, there's a liaison. So Harry and Meghan will have their own private security, and there's the UK liaison. He said there's no way that the UK authorities or the King will allow Harry to come to harm when he's in the UK. Yeah. And he said to me, which is a theory that I've long fostered but didn't have foundation for, that it's about the blue lights and it's about the helicopters and the police outriders. It's the status that comes with the royal armed protection that Harry, dogged with the self-image of being the spare, wants to be the main man.
Well, this is really fascinating because what also happened this week, I think, was on Monday when there was a kind of almost like an angry statement that I think came out from the Sussexes, and they referenced about Salman Rushdie and Taylor Swift. And Taylor Swift was given blue light kind of escorts to her tour in the UK because there had been terror threats that were they had to cancel some of the tours in Austria. And also Salman Rushdie had a fatwa issued against him for about 30 years from the Ayatollah of Iran, and there was an assassination attempt on him recently. But they referenced the fact that how come Salman Rushdie and Taylor Swift get this protection and he doesn't? Does he have a point? Should we just say it would end so much drama? It's not going to. We'll talk about money later. It's not going to cost that much money. Just give the crying toddler what he wants, and all the drama would just finish. Why not just devil's advocate? Just let him have security.
Mentally, and especially because we've discussed personally, and we've discussed it so many times on the show. I'm thinking just exactly. let's just draw the line in the sand.
You're a mother. What do you do with the child if they're moaning and whinging this?
I think it's bad
give them
parenting.
the ice cream.
Honestly,
here's the TV remote. Take the iPad. I'm going to the pub.
I think the official answer is you don't give them what they want. But in this case, it is it is this one trip. Again, I don't know what information he and his team are privy to that he is this concerned about it, and that they have drawn those comparisons where, as you say, Taylor Swift they just had that massive threat elsewhere. So I don't know what that is. I don't think there's going to be any end in sight to this until he does actually make his first trip over here. And we know that they're apparently working through other options for how that could look. Potentially they all come and stay in one of the palaces, let's say Buckingham Palace for example, and the children and Meghan can just stay behind those palace walls and obviously conduct their business from there.
There's an interesting point. Before we move on, just on security, they are, I mean, it's a fact, it's interesting that we can say it, but they are currently in Europe, almost like a little holding pattern, and they can come in kind of when they want, depending on if they change their itinerary. You mentioned it earlier, Mark. How come they can stay as a family of five somewhere in Europe and they're presumably not going to have armed police wherever they are? Why is that not an issue?
No, that's right. And earlier in the year when Meghan was in Paris, which was another public relations dumpster fire, in my opinion, that's a city that's had a lot of social division, unfortunately, recent terror threats and terror attacks. So it doesn't make sense. And at the heart of this, I disagree with both of you. I don't think that we should fold for a quiet life, because that's what we did with the Sussexes when they were frontline serving royals. And what good did that do us? They still managed to portray themselves as victims, even though, as I've said, they enjoyed unprecedented positive media coverage and the figures like the Queen, essentially bending the rules to make them comfortable. It didn't work. And the other interesting thing, just before we move on, is a question of competence and coherent messaging. The Sussexes are very chaotic in their messaging. If you remember the Oprah interview, which was so controversial, there was the accusation of racism against an unnamed member of the royal family. Then there was the backlash and the uproar. They then backtracked and said, oh no, we meant unconscious bias. Similarly, they're saying they want the royal security and then maybe we can negotiate something. We're going to stay at a royal residence. Actually, we've not said yes yet. We, I think, bestow upon them too much sort of strategic nous. I think they're making it up as they go along, and I think they're not doing a very good job of it.
I think there's very emotional reactions. I think we've seen that from Harry. I think it seems like Meghan must be of a similar mind where it just feels very emotional all of the time. And I think they need to learn lessons from the past in that regard. I will say one thing for the context of this. I know that the fact that this review didn't happen that was called for, I mean, this is sort of the point that's being emphasised now because it's, you know, they do travel to other places, etc. But it was said at the end of last year that this review was necessary. It was deemed by the people that decide these things.
It was front page of the Sun, no less.
Exactly.
An exclusive front page of the Sun.
That after 7 years, this was necessary. Now, for that to be deemed necessary and then to be put on hold indefinitely earlier this year, which is what we're hearing. Well, why was it put on hold then? And if it was necessary, then I suppose in his mind he's saying, if it's necessary, it's necessary. Why don't we have an answer?
I mean, just also briefly, there is a concern. Our mutual friend Richard Eden at the Mail is pointing out that if you feed the monster like that and if you give them the armed royal protection, they'll seek it every time they're in the UK, and potentially then there's an argument that they get it overseas. There's no end to this. Give these people an inch, they'll take a mile.